Another Dead Teenager, a Paul Turner Mystery, Book 3. Author, Mark Richard Zubro. Stonewall Inn Mysteries. Narrator, Eric Aust. Outside, the cool night air refreshed them a little. They traveled the few blocks to the neighborhood where the crime was committed. They cruised the front and side of the building they'd found the body in. Not a lot of street lights, Fenwick said. Back was actually better lit, but fortunately for our jobs, plenty of shadows all around to park a car so that it wouldn't be noticed. They drove to the corner. "This is the only business operating around here?" Fenwick asked. Turner flipped through a stack of papers. "Uniforms only listed this one." They parked half a block down from the factory and banged on the door of a building on the opposite side of the street. Through pebbled glass windows, they could make out vague movements. Moments later, the door was yanked open by a man in his early 30s. After the cops introduced themselves, he invited them in. He was about 5'8", but Turner thought he must eat steroids for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He wasn't fat, but he was the most muscle-bound person Turner had ever seen. A paint-spattered t-shirt concealed muscles that strained the material all around his torso. The part of his upper arms, Turner could see, had veins easily observed, crawling just underneath the rippling flesh. The guy's wheat-colored jeans clung to every inch of his lower body, revealing that he must either stuff his crotch with baseballs and socks, or he was the most well-endowed man in history. His name was Drew Riley. The room they were in had bare walls, a cement floor, a stack of paint cans on the left, and boards and bricks on the right. "I'm fixing the place up," Riley said. He led them through a passage to a room with recently painted walls, bright orange carpeting, but no furniture. The entire place smelled of paint, new sawn wood, and urban rot. "It's going to take me a while. There's no place to sit, really, but this room is the cleanest. Going to be the hottest fitness center. All the yuppies are moving this way. I'm going to cash in big time." "You hear a lot?" "Yeah. That's what I told the uniformed cops who came to talk to me. I work at a health club on the north side, and then I come here for 8 to 10 hours a day to work. I'm doing it all myself. Got the money for the down payment from an uncle who died. It's going to be perfect. I can't put the pool in myself, but after I'm open a year with all the new memberships, I'll be able to afford that." "What happened Thursday night?" "Oh, yeah. I had the game on a portable television upstairs. I was painting some rooms on the north side of the building, the side away from the street. I had an hour's worth of work left after the game got over, so I thought I'd stick it out. I put on the radio. The painting took longer than I thought. I came down here to use the John when I saw lights go by on the street. It's kind of rare when anybody comes down here at night. I thought it was a little odd. When I got back upstairs, I looked out the front window. Up there, since you can't see out these, I saw one of those little foreign cars with its brake lights on and the headlights off. He was just sitting there." "You sure it was he?" Drew thought a minute. "I didn't see real clearly, but I thought it must have been a guy. Maybe I just assumed it was. I don't remember any longer hair than a woman might have." "Was he alone?" "It was one of those foreign jobbies. Only 2 seats in the front. I only saw one head." "What'd he do?" "Sat there. He didn't do anything, and there's not much worth breaking into around here. I've got a gun. I keep it in my toolbox. I've got a permit for it." The other cops already asked. He showed them a .22 target revolver and the permit. Riley resumed. "The guy in the car didn't do anything threatening, and I can take care of myself. I wasn't worried, so I went back to work. When I left, he was gone." "What color was the car?" "Yellow, I think. Maybe tan. The light was dim. It looked sort of old." "Could whoever it was have seen your car?" "There's a side entrance I pull into. It's like a sort of garage. I've got the security cameras, and everything works already. It's the first thing that I put in after I bought this place. I know the neighborhood is going to be perfect in a few years, but for now, it's better to be safe." "Could the person have seen your lights?" "I was working in the back most of the night, so maybe not. This place is pretty big." "Must get a little spooky." "Nah. I got the security. I got the gun. I got no imagination." He stretched. Must take a lot of money to get this kind of place moving. Mostly hard work. I started small. Buy only what I can afford. Do it a little bit at a time. You're from the area? Moved here a couple of years ago. Saved my money for years. That plus what my uncle left me let me get started on this. When I'm finished, I'm going to make big bucks with this place. Have you seen a beat-up pickup truck around the neighborhood? Anytime lately? Or a dark red car? Turner asked. Riley thought for a few seconds. Can't say I have. One of those the kind of car the killer had? We don't know. We've only had descriptions of 2 vehicles so far. Yours is the 3rd. Turner didn't add that none of them remotely matched. Just wanted to help as much as I could. Shame about those 2 kids. I hear they were saints. Turner and Fenwick left. Fenwick said, he gets run through the computer check just for that last remark, if nothing else. Must have taken him years to bulk up like that. And have the steroids in the city. You got any more trips before we get back to the station? Turner rifled through his papers. Nothing. He rubbed the back of his neck and then massaged his temples. I don't want to think about how much sleep I haven't had. We're going to be getting even less if we don't get a break on this, Fenwick said. They returned to Area 10 headquarters to check the latest leads, fill out paperwork, and get depressed. Around 7, Blessing called down on the inter-office line. Why don't you guys stroll up here? They found Blessing with his hands rapidly tapping on computer keys. I think we've got a lead on a possible witness. He motioned over a uniformed cop Turner and Fenwick didn't recognize. Blessing introduced her as Alice Drindle. She's been handling the calls from people who used the parking garage. Tell them, Alice. I got a call about half an hour ago. This guy claims he saw something suspicious on Thursday night. I've had about a dozen people say that, but this guy was different. He seemed to know what he was talking about. He described the kid's van exactly. Where is he? Fenwick demanded. Blessing said I should have come in. He's on his way. I think he wants to be on television. The detective sighed. Everybody wants their 15 minutes, Blessing said. Guy's name is Charles Edward Stewart. At 8, a dapper man in a navy blue business suit was escorted into the 3rd floor detective room. He had hair combed straight back off his forehead. He was barely over 5 feet 5 and didn't look to have an extra ounce of weight on his slender frame. Turner estimated the guy was somewhere between 35 and 40. Charles Edward Stewart said, I'm a musician with the symphony. I play cello. We had practice late Thursday night. Turner and Fenwick had given him coffee, and all the deference a possible break in the case merited. If he really had something, they might erect a statue to him. You parked on the 4th level of the parking garage? Yes, I always do. It's usually much less crowded, but if I hadn't gotten there early Thursday, I might not have gotten a space. I deliberately stayed late practicing with some friends, so I'd miss all the traffic from the sports events. I heard the call for help on the radio today. What'd you see when you went to your car? Fenwick asked. Stewart described the boy's vehicle and then said, I only saw their van, but no teenagers as I drove out. I saw a man lurking in the shadows. Mine was the only car on that level besides theirs. I thought the van must be this man's, but he wasn't walking purposefully toward it, more looking around as if he were lost. What'd he do? Fenwick asked. When he saw me, I thought he ducked into the shadows. Of course, he could have been walking toward an exit in that direction, but would he be leaving his vehicle at that hour of the night? There were lots of parking spaces on the upper level by that time, and I think the garage closes, doesn't it? We'll have to check, Fenwick said. What did he look like? Turner asked. Magnificently wavy black hair with huge broad shoulders. His clothes were dark. I didn't see his face. He was very thin, built sort of athletically. Maybe I saw one of the boys themselves. I was told they were athletic. I almost didn't call because I thought it was probably one of them. We're glad you called, Fenwick said. Have I helped? Stewart asked. I'll let you know, Fenwick said. What do I say if the reporters question me? I think we can find you a way to get out of here without having to run the press gauntlet, Fenwick said. Stewart looked disappointed, but he allowed himself to be led to a back entrance where fewer press would be hovering. They told the uniformed cop escorting him to make sure Stewart got to his car without encountering any reporters. Neither of the kids had wavy black hair, Turner said. Sounded like Waverly, the football player, Fenwick said. Let's see if that computer check on him is back yet. The background check on Waverly showed he had no outstanding arrest warrants, no unpaid parking tickets, and no hint of a connection to the murder. Where's he from? Turner asked. Lives here, Fenwick said. No, I mean originally. There's got to be more past history than this. We've got profiles started on lots of the people you've talked to, Blessing said. That wouldn't be in police records. Holly's working on those. Oh, wait. Blessing strode over to a uniformed cop's desk. He conferred with her for a moment, and then brought over a sheet of paper. Here's what we got on the team, guys. You talked to. The profile on Waverly says he attended college in Seattle at the University of Puget Sound, where he starred. Originally came from Spokane, Washington. Since he turned pro 5 years ago, he's played with 4 teams scattered around the country. He's not that good? Fenwick asked. Good enough to catch on, but not good enough to stay long. Wonder if it's personality or ability that keeps him moving. Let's ask. One of the uniformed cops tracked Waverly down on his car phone. He walked in half an hour later. Am I being arrested? He asked. Did you do something you should be arrested for? Fenwick asked. We just need to talk to you some more, Turner said. Waverly sat in a chair next to Turner's desk. He crossed his arms over his chest and said, I want my lawyer. We didn't arrest you. We didn't even tell you what we want to talk about. Why would you need a lawyer? I won't answer any of your questions. I want my lawyer. They tried numerous questions and subtle reasoning. They even gave good cop, bad cop a shot. Nothing worked. Waverly simply demanded his lawyer. This was a delicate area for the detectives. While certainly he wasn't being arrested and was barely a suspect, they wanted to ask him questions. That Waverly wouldn't answer questions wasn't supposed to incriminate him, but for Turner and Fenwick, it added a host of suspicions. They left Waverly sitting in the middle of the room while they conferred near the top of the stairs. What the hell is his problem? Fenwick asked. I'm tired enough to beat the shit out of him, but suppose somebody would think that was unconstitutional. Double fuck. They heard footsteps. Moments later, Commander Poindexter marched up the steps to them. I heard you have a suspect. What's going on? We got a killer here, or what? Turner and Fenwick explained. The commander shook his head. He's a player from the team. They can afford lawyers, and they have publicity people out the wazoo. We've got to be careful. I don't give a shit, a publicist, Fenwick said. We've got 2 murders to solve. You've got at least as much pressure on this as we have. I know, but Poindexter began. Waverly walked up to the 3 of them. I don't have to stay here, he said. If I am not charged, I can leave. Either charge me, get me a lawyer, or I'm going home. Waverly certainly showed none of the nervousness, fear, or confusion that Turner had learned to look for as signs that often pointed to someone who'd committed a crime. An hour later, a lawyer from the team sat with Waverly, Turner, and Fenwick in the interrogation room. We have a witness who places you in the parking garage about the time of the murder, Fenwick said. I wasn't there, Waverly said. Where did you go after the game? Home. Anybody witness you arriving home? No. They sat silently for a minute. Finally, Fenwick demanded, Why did you tell us that in the first place? We could have all gone home an hour ago. But you wouldn't have stopped there, Waverly said. And we wouldn't have gone home. You wouldn't have let me leave with just those couple of questions. And nothing further could they get from him. They wanted to hold him for a lineup then, but they couldn't get hold of the cello player from the symphony. The lineup would have to wait for the morning. The commander told Fenwick and Turner to come in late the next morning. Detectives working on the brink of total exhaustion would be useless. He'd have given them the advice sooner, but the pressure for a suspect was as intense on him as it was on his people. Others could continue the work of the task force. The 2 detectives could pick up the threads when they came in. Turner and Fenwick agreed to meet at the funeral for the 2 boys at 11 the next morning at Holy Name Cathedral. Turner drove up to his house at 2. He switched off the car and listened to the motor click softly. The whole night light was on in his house. He could see the light was on in Mrs. Tolucci's kitchen. She sat at her butcher block table, a book in front of her. She glanced up and saw him sitting in the car. She closed her book and rose from the table. Minutes later, Paul saw the front porch light flip on. He eased himself out of his car. Tired as he was, he would stop and talk to Rose. No matter what the time or circumstance, she had always been there for him and his kids. He would talk to her now, even if she weren't dying. He met her on the front porch. She held her robe closed at the throat. Paul spoke quietly. "It's late, Rose. You should be in bed." The silent early morning street enveloped their words. "So should you," she said. "I've got food. You look like you need it." Even Fenwick's prodigious appetite had given way to the needs of the case. Paul hadn't eaten since early this afternoon. At her table, as had happened so many late nights before, he prepared to eat. He thought of all those times in the past and how few there would be in the future. He could not stop the moisture in his eyes. He felt Rose's hand on his shoulder from behind. "Now is not the time for tears," she said. "Perhaps after I'm gone. Let's just talk now." Paul wanted to ask her how she was feeling, what she'd done that day, what it felt like to know that she was going to die. Instead, under her gentle probing, he told about his day, his worries about the case. She listened quietly, as she always did, her brown eyes watching his as he drank homemade soup and chewed on fresh homemade bread. At the end, he said, "I think what bothers me most is missing Ben. I haven't seen him in 2 weeks. I wanted to talk to him, hold him. I know I should be more worried about the murder of those 2 boys, but I just want Ben." "He was here," Rose said. "Why?" Paul asked. "He feels the same way about you. I suggested he stay in your house and wait for you. He's afraid if you didn't invite him, it might be awkward. He stayed overnight before, but not without an invitation and not without you there. I knew it would be all right. It is. He watched Jeff early this evening, and I believe he talked to Brian for quite a while. He loves you as much as you love him." Paul felt a little less tired. But I'm worn out. I need to get some sleep." "He knows." "He's probably asleep himself. It'll be all right. You don't always have to speak volumes. Sometimes all you need to do is know the other is there." Paul stood up. "What about you, Rose? Are you okay?" "Of course. I've had a good life. I was in love for 48 years with a wonderful man. I have my family. I've had you and your boys. I've had more than enough love for one lifetime. Asking about my health now is nonsense. Go see Ben. He loves you very much." Paul hugged Rose. He felt her thin frame under her robe. She patted him gently. He hurried to his own house. Ben lay fully clothed on the couch. The hall light illuminated half of his face. Paul watched him sleep for a few minutes. Paul loved the craggy lines of Ben's unhandsome face. The shadows seemed to make them more rugged than ever. He could picture Ben in front of a campfire out west, firelight flickering in the darkness. Paul started to cross the room. Ben stirred and opened his eyes. "Paul?" Ben said. "Yeah, it's me." Ben staggered to his feet. He was groggy and half asleep. They held each other gently. "I love you," Paul said. He felt Ben's embrace tighten. "We should go to bed," Paul said. Ben nodded. After checking on Jeff, Paul and Ben eased up the stairs together. Paul remembered to set the alarm as he undressed. He snuggled close to Ben, whose arm gently caressed him for a few minutes. Paul felt him slackening his movements, patting him, but he couldn't keep his own eyes open. He put his head on Ben's chest and fell asleep. Gay Mysteries audiobooks. I think it is easy to hate a label, but a face humanizes the word. So this effort is twofold: to offer comfort to those like myself that your world didn't end because you don't fit into the view of acceptable society on both sides, and in hopes of helping those with family that are LGBTQ, that it doesn't mean we are aliens from the child they once knew. Reassure them so they can maybe be supportive at the same time, being true to their values.